you can go anywhere in the world. I could even go to Antarctica and get a job because of the skills I have, and I can be able to work and provide no matter what, because every place on the world needs somebody with skills to be able to do something.
Yep. Welcome to the Builder Hacks Podcast, your go-to destination for cutting-edge strategies, time-tested systems, and invaluable insights to revolutionize your construction business and elevate your life. Join your hosts, Nate Piper and Keith Niels, seasoned contractors who are not just in the trenches, but are also pioneering the future of the industry through Concord University. In each episode, we dive deep into the minds of the industry's most accomplished building professionals, uncovering their secrets to success and sharing actionable tips to help you thrive. Whether you're a seasoned veteran or just starting out, our goal is to empower you to build a brighter future for yourself and for America. Tune in, level up, and let's build a better tomorrow together. This is the Builder Hacks Podcast. Build your future, building America. And on today's episode, one of the things that we wanted to get into, though, is why would you want to do this? So what are the good things about being in the industry, and then what challenges come from being in any of the trades? What are those types of things? I know that's the big question for so many people whenever they're looking at this, because, I mean, like Nate and I have talked about before, one of the biggest challenges you get, so is that programming that we all had whenever we went to school of you've got to go ahead and go to college. And so why would you ever consider going ahead and doing something like the trades? So we figured, you know what, let's give you a few reasons. So we've given you like some of the industries you could be in and some of the things that you might want to think about there. But let's actually dive in. What does this mean? How can it be a better life for you? What are those rewards? So Nate, I got a challenge for you today.
All right.
When we're doing these rewards, so I think we can get at least 10 rewards for everybody that's listening. So you up for the challenge, and then we'll just go back and forth, I think is what we'll do. So I
think we can probably get more than 10, but let's start off with 10.
We'll set the bar easy. So as far as that goes, and then we'll just keep raising it. How's that sound?
Perfect.
Awesome. So why don't you go ahead and kick it off? So what is one of the biggest rewards?
Well, it's always my favorite. It's called money. Money. I love money, right? But the reality of it is that in the trades, you get paid for your time, your effort, your energy, your knowledge, and all that above. And you're not capped out like you are if you went to Starbucks and became a barista, right?
Yeah.
So you can have a lot more earning potential. And that's the biggest one for me. It's like you're not capped. You have unrestricted abilities to be able to have higher money and be able to earn more money just off of your knowledge and your skills. So for me, number one is high earning potential.
So, and I totally agree with that piece. And it's one of those things where, like you were talking about some of the other big companies in the United States, like Starbucks and things like that. When you go in a job and you're a big company, they've got that salary structure of this is what you're going to get. The nice thing about this is even if you're working, like, let's say you go into being a plumber and you learn how to be a plumber, you go ahead and take your test and get licensed. So then that's whenever that unlimited ceiling that Nate's talking about comes in, because now you can go ahead and open up your own business. And that's really where you get to go ahead and create something. So of huge magnitude, literally you set wherever you want to be on that end. So on what you go ahead and create. So I love that high earning potential. I think that's a good one. Let me see. So for the first one for me, I think I'm going to go for job security, Nate.
That's a good one.
And the reason why I say that is there's so many different industries inside of construction. There's always something there. And we've talked about this before because we've had people, and I know you and I have done kind of the same thing, where we've worked in different parts of the industry itself. And they're more than willing to go ahead and take you on because of the fact that you already have some industry experience. And that's what they love, because they don't have to explain everything to you. You may know how to read prints. You already know how to conduct yourself on a job site or in front of homeowners and things like that. So those skills are transferable, which is awesome. So that job security that you get from that, if you go ahead and you decide, hey, I'm looking for something new, or I'm looking for a better opportunity, maybe it is the money piece that you're talking about. I've been with this company, and maybe it's a smaller company and they can only go so far with what they're looking to pay me. There's some other companies out there, you may be able to go ahead and take advantage of that. So move, there's always a demand. So, and that demand is getting even bigger. So now, because we're starting to get more and more people retiring out of the industry and less people coming in, which means that job security, So you go ahead and do a good job. I will guarantee you'll have a job.
Well, it's one of those things where I actually brought that up to my in-laws when I was talking to them before I got married. And I, because they were worried about,
Yeah,
me being a husband and being
you're
able to
gonna take care
provide
of
for
my
my,
daughter.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And I told him, I said, I will have consistent job security no matter what. I will
Yeah.
not go into a rut and be out of an industry where I can't afford to make money. Right. And so that was a big one for me too. So I'm right there with you, Keith. I think job security is at the top of the list.
All right, ball's back on your side of the net.
Well, when we follow up with job security, right, we follow up with career advancement, right? So you get
Hold on,
job
Nate. I
security.
felt like I set you up like a t-ball game there, and I set the
Hey,
ball on the tee and
I
let
was
you
thinking
smack
about
it.
that the whole time you were talking. It was like, well, then I already know, like if we have job security, you're going to have job advancement, right? Because you're
Yep.
not going to be stuck or pigeonholed, right? So if you're in there and you're moving up and everything's going, the sky's the limit, and that kind of goes back to the earning potential and the job security. Like all those things kind of work together.
Yeah,
So mine is
definitely.
career advancement.
Awesome. Well, since I gave you a big old watermelon to hit, so I'm gonna go ahead and take one myself from what I had said on the job security side of things. The diversity of opportunities.
Ooh,
Your ability to be able to get into an industry, whether let's say like I started off as a framer. So
yeah,
that's how I started off. Now, even for us with the company that I worked with, we did a little bit of everything. So like we did all the masonry stuff. We went ahead and did the framing. We went ahead and we ran all of our mechanicals so that we have in the house. So the MEPs is what we call them. So we ran mechanical, we ran electrical, we ran plumbing. So we had licensed tradespeople come in, inspect everything, make sure that we had it the way we needed to have it. So to go ahead and follow code and everything. But like we did all of that. And that's the great part about it is I got to see the things that I got different parts of the industry. So, and that to me was fun. So because there are so many different ones and you're able to jump around. So if you do one for a while, like, well, I think I've told this story before. One of my guys, he's now one of my flooring guys, one of my tile guys. So he used to work as a framer. He used to work as a trim carpenter. So, he's done multiple different things throughout his life because of the fact that there's so much opportunity out there. And we're always looking for good people. There's no question about it. If you work
yeah.
hard, so and you're easy to get along with, so and you have attention to detail, so any of the industries will be more than willing to go ahead and hire you, no question about it.
Yeah, I think that's a great one. You know, um, having diversity is always the key to being able to be happy and
Yeah,
relearn and just have different experiences.
yeah.
Well, I'm going to
Agreed.
follow that one up. I've got one that's probably even my favorite, even above the money piece, right? Like I love
Above the
money.
money, Pete. I don't believe this, Nate. You're gonna have to
I
kill me with this one.
well, it's the tangible results, right? It
So what do you mean
is
when you say tangible results?
okay. What I mean by tangible results is that I get immediate gratification, right?
Okay.
I get to build something that wasn't there before and turn it into something else. I get to take something that was dirty and then
Okay.
turn around and make it clean, right? Like I get to see immediate gratification and immediate results, and they're tangible. And I can
Right.
go home at the end of the day and say, you know what? I did that.
I did that.
And that's
Yep.
probably the biggest piece for me. I mean, I think it probably falls ahead of money. Even though I like money, tangible results, that's a big one.
Uh, and I love that same piece. I'm the same way you are. It's one of those things I love to be able to drive through communities and things like that, especially ones where I've done lots of work and you can drive past multiple houses. It's like I built that, I built that, I did this to that
Yeah.
house, and those.
Yeah.
I mean, I love
Decades
that.
later, I still do it.
Yep. Exactly. That one it's fun because when you go to a community, once you've been in there working, and then they call you, somebody else calls you in the community to go ahead and do a renovation or something like that, or an
Yeah.
addition. So when you're coming in to do that, it's like they always go, "Hey, well, what have you done? So who can we talk to?" Type of thing. It's like, well, go talk to this neighbor, that neighbor, that neighbor, that neighbor. So that's what I did on their house. So that I built their whole house from the ground up. So if you like what you saw in there, then
Yeah.
that's very indicative of what we do.
Yeah.
All right,
It's
so
real.
I think that puts us at 5, Nate.
Yeah. We
If
got
I
five.
counted
You
correctly.
got five
All right,
more to go.
so we're halfway home. So, all right. One of the things that I love, and this is whenever I was younger, one of the biggest challenges that I had, and my mom used to get on me all the time about this. So, is I would bounce job to job to job every 2 to 3 years maximum. I'd be looking for a new job, and most of the time it was changing industries entirely. So back at that point, I didn't realize that I wanted to become an entrepreneur, and that's why I was literally acquiring skills. So for me, it's continuous learning and skill development is one of the big things that happens. And it's like whenever you've talked on previous episodes, like whenever you first come out and get started, you're the laborers, what you are. So
Mhm.
your biggest thing is you pay attention to safety, you pay attention to keeping things clean, you pay attention to having materials there for the guys when they need them. So it's those little pieces that you start paying attention to. Then as you're there a little bit longer, and I'll use the framing reference since I like the framing ones. That's what I used to do. Though is then they'll start having you do cuts. Oh, and you can start doing some of the cuts. So, and it's that continuous advancement, even when you're doing cuts, like as a framer, there's so many different types of cuts depending on what you're doing. If you're doing a roof, so you've got plumb cuts. So whenever you got the square cuts, whenever you're doing a framing on the interior of the house. So there's so many different little things that you can go ahead and do. And that to me is a fun thing because I love the learning. I love it being different. The same thing every day drives me crazy. And
Nuts.
that's it's definitely different about construction, about any of the trades, any of the industries. There's always going to be new challenges that arise. So especially if you either do renovation work, or if you do retail work, like if you're the plumber or the electrician, so the HVAC, there's always challenges that show up. You're like, how the heck did this happen? And you've got to figure out a way to make it now work again the way it's supposed to work. So to me, that's constant skill development when you're doing that.
Yeah, I love skill development. I hate being bored. It's one of the reasons
Yeah.
why I couldn't sit in an office. It's why I couldn't sit in a cubicle. I couldn't wear a tie. It's like I
Yeah.
could not do that. I have to be challenged daily. And that comes with skill development, you know.
That piece right there, and that's if anyone's looking at this and you are like what Nate and I are as far as that part goes, where whenever someone goes, oh, your job is going to be to sit in this cubicle and do this all day long, and all you can think of is that's literally like prison.
It is.
So if
That's
that's
how I
if
see
that
it.
yeah, that's the way I see it too. I hate whenever I have to have office days where it's the whole day. It drives me crazy. And in those cases, that's what like if that's you, construction could be an option for you. There's no question about it because that gets you that opportunity to be out there.
Yeah.
All right, Nate, you're up.
All right. Well, I want to follow on the back of skill development, and I'm going to
Mhm.
go with independence, right?
Okay.
You
What do you
get
mean?
to have the autonomy to be able to pick and choose, which there really is entrepreneurship, right? Where
Hmm.
you get to pick
Okay.
and choose which jobs you do and which ones you don't do.
There you
And you
go.
get to pick out like which customers you want, which customers you don't want, and that independence is a lot better than having someone that just tells you, hey, you have to go do this and do this and do this. And
Yep.
you get to have some opinion of whether or not you're doing it or not doing it. And even if you're the low man on the totem pole, you can make a decision of, do I want to do this job or do I not want to do this job? And then
Hmm.
do I want to work for this guy or do I not want to work for this guy? Because once you have the skills, now
Yeah.
you can kind of make decisions about what you want for your future. And so
Yep.
independence, entrepreneurship, I think that's another great big plus.
And I agree with you because you're exactly right, Nate. There's so many different ways that you can take that. You have a huge amount of choice that goes into that, whether it's starting your own business. So once you get to that point, or whether it is just doing different things in the industry and making a choice. I mean, it's like I look at things like my flooring installers. They can make the choice on jobs where, hey, this is a huge job. And like my flooring installer is a great, he's a two-man operation. So they're great with bathroom renovations without a challenge. They can do flooring throughout the main house as long as we're not underneath a huge crush. But there's certain things that they won't do. So, and whenever we talk about like they don't want to do anything that's mud set as far as floor tile goes. So, and that's
Yeah.
usually when you're doing stone and marble and stuff like that. He's like, it doesn't make sense for me to do that. He said, I'll never get it done in a time frame that you're happy with. He said, I don't want to be underneath that pressure. So don't call me if you have that, which is perfectly fine. I know that he tells
Yeah.
me that I go ahead and make the choice, but that kind of independence is an awesome thing to have for sure. So to get to do more of the things you want to do. All right, so I guess we're back to me. I'm gonna, you know what? Actually, that's a good one. So one of the things that we've been seeing a lot, because I do in Orlando, there's some areas that are older areas in Orlando, old for Orlando at least,
Yeah.
down here, and we are able to go ahead and we're able to redevelop the community. So and that to me, so is a lot of fun because you get to
Yeah.
bring houses up to date on the outside and the inside. Sometimes that means additions, sometimes that means new exteriors. So, it could mean going ahead and just redoing the inside, but changing the way the looks are from previously. Like that whole piece where you get to change the way the community looks. So is so much fun. And it kind of goes back to that being able to see what you've done,
Hmm.
type of thing. And a lot of times, so many times, when you get into things like gentrification and things like that, once it starts to happen in one spot in the
Yeah.
community, then other people start doing the same thing. And you can literally watch what is old become new again. So, and to me, that's great because that's literally like the city's living and breathing. So in the area you're living in is living and breathing because it's constantly changing. And that's something that I love being able to be a part of,
Yeah, it's
because
fun.
it's a big impact. So, and I love that impact piece.
It's constant change, right? And
Hmm.
it's constant, you know, evolution of advancement. And there's some areas that advance and there's some areas that decline.
Hmm.
And it's kind of weird where you get to, do the advancements and then go back to the ones that are declining and start working on those. And so it's like
Yeah.
a never-ending cycle of projects that are coming in. It's like, I don't know, I enjoy that part too. I enjoy, making things great and doing it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely a
So
good time.
so for me, it kind of comes back to that same thing, right? It's a variety of work environments, right? So you can be,
Hmm.
over here, like for us, we can be in a $3 million home one day, and then we could be in a hotel another day, and then we could
Yep.
be in a $200,000 house the next day, and then an apartment complex, and then so the variety of work environments that we get to be able to be exposed to is great. I've been in stadiums and been in hotels and
Right.
high rises and all these different places that you never get to go to. And
Right.
so when you get to see them from a different perspective, it's pretty fun. I mean, I enjoy
Mhm.
walking down the hallways behind the curtain of all the
Oh
big
yeah.
shows and things. It's different. So work environment, I love that piece.
Agreed. And that same piece that you brought up, it's like the thought that popped off in my head, Nate, was like for us down here in Orlando is being backstage at Disney. So because
Yeah.
everybody sees what the park is like because they're in the park, they're in the hotels and things like that. So, but they never actually get to see what's going on. Well, and what it all looks like in the back. And that's the piece that I love, that same thing. And that it's so different, whether if you're in a stadium or you're
Yeah.
in a hotel or you're in a home. I mean, it's all very, very different. So, and that again keeps it fun. Kind of goes back to what we were talking about before. We don't do the
Yeah.
same thing every day.
Variety, you know.
Yep.
I think
So
that comes
perfect.
back to us telling us that, if you like the mundane day to day in the
Yeah.
same spot thing, you're not going to get that in the trades. So just know that it's not
Well,
going to happen.
you might if you stay in the office and work in somebody's office.
Okay,
Then you might
there
get that.
there you go.
There are options for it, but there's less options. Yes, I agree with you. Most of it, this is definitely an industry where people get to go out and do different things all the time. So. All right. Love that. All right. So that's 9. So we're at number 10. Nate, I'm getting the feeling we might be able to go past 10. What are you thinking?
Oh, all right. You sold me on that before we even got started because I've got about 50 in my head, right?
Perfect. All right. Well, I'm gonna give number 10 and then we'll see how far we can take this.
Okay.
For me, one of the things I love, and it goes back to the whole change piece that we're talking about and the variety. So is technological advancements. So it's one
Oh,
of
I
those
like that
things.
one.
I'm a Gen Xer,
Yeah.
which means that I was around and had a childhood without all the computers and all the gadgets and all the smartphones and all the tablets and all that kind of stuff. So, but we got to see all of that tech come in.
Hmm.
Oh, and we got to start using it, and we're the first generation that really started implementing those pieces. So to get everything moving to some of the places where they are now.
Yeah.
So to me, seeing the technology come in, and that's different ways of managing things. So smart systems for homes, so that go ahead and manage everything, literally from hey, they turn the lights on and adjust the AC for you before you get home. They go ahead and open the garage door whenever you're getting close. So all of those types of things are cool and fun little pieces so they go into it. And we know over time they're going to be able to go ahead and implement some of the things like robots to a certain degree. I mean, certain things like I've seen for pavers. So I've
Hmm.
seen the big paver machines where they
Oh
literally just
yeah.
load them with pavers and it lays the pavers, type of thing. I mean, there's some of those pieces that are coming out and they'll get more and more. It's just biggest challenge that it's cool seeing what they come up with because they face some unique challenges on the construction side of being able to handle those diverse work environments Nate was talking about.
Yeah.
Because that's the big thing. If humans were able to adapt to those things, machines they may get there at some point, but they're not there yet. But we get
Well,
to see it. We see drones.
yeah.
I mean, like the inspectors that come out, especially the home inspectors that come out for the homeowners and things like that. they drone to actually check the roofs. So they don't hop up on the roof anymore for the most part. So to go ahead and walk over, and do that. So seeing those kinds of things come in is cool. I
Yeah.
know we've got photographers that we use for the business that do that same thing, so they can get that above shot. So
Mhm.
especially whenever you're doing new construction things. So it was really good to be able to document and be able to show that. Great gift to give the homeowners whenever you can give them those kinds of things too. So that those technological advancements to me are always fun to watch come in, and because they help
Well,
us out in so many different ways, bring costs down, so make things
well, the
easier.
technological advancements for me is a big one because like you, I'm a Gen Xer, right? And
Mhm.
getting to see all these things. Well, there's been some evolutions in the construction
Yeah.
industry that I've got to be a part of, and that's been really fun.
Yeah.
From the standpoint of like going from copper line to now
Yeah.
PEX line, which is plastic.
Mhm.
Because sweating copper is not the easiest thing in the world. And I've actually caught a few houses on fire, like
That's what I
temporarily,
was gonna
like
say,
small
especially
fires,
whenever you're
but
dealing with houses that people are living in. So
yeah, and you're sweating copper around a pipe, and you got like this much room to work in, and
right.
you're it's a wood frame. So what are you doing? So being able to do the transfer between copper to now PEX line, where
Mhm.
I just drill some holes and run pipe through, and
Right.
it's flexible and it moves, and I don't have to like make 90
Mhm.
degrees and make sure everything's sweated in properly. Shark bites, that's another one for plumbing, right?
Yeah.
Where I didn't have to sweat it anymore. I just pop it on and
Snap it
connected
on.
it, and it was great. And
Mhm.
so there's a lot of these, technical advances that are small pieces that we get to
Yeah.
experience just in the evolution of construction that
Mhm.
is before we even get to all the big robotic pieces. But I did
Yep.
see a cool one a couple of days ago where it's actually a roof installer where he goes and he just lays the shingles down and it's just he hangs onto the roof and then starts working it. So there's some big ones out there that are coming. I'm
Yep.
I'm I'm kind of curious how it's going to handle a 12-12 pitch, but we'll see.
Again, those are the challenges we're talking about, and that
Yeah,
they're
those
I
are
guarantee you
challenges.
they're working on them. They'll start with the easier ones first, is what'll happen, and then they'll get to the ones where there's more things they've got to bring in to figure out to make it work right. So,
Yeah.
all
Okay,
right,
so we've got 10. Now we want to
there,
go into the bonus round.
let's go bonus. We
All
always
right.
love bonuses.
One of the things that I really enjoy is that I get my physical exercise in daily. And I'm staying active and I can still bend over even with my, extra weight and tire around my belly. I can still touch my toes, right? And
Yep.
I can still climb 4 or 5 stairs, heights
Hmm.
of stairs, and I don't have any issues. And I'm physically able and maintaining, and I don't even have to go to the gym. So physical exercise for me and activity is another big plus.
I agree entirely. I know whenever I first got started in the industry, so one of the big three pluses for me was the fact that I was active. So it meant I didn't have to go work out because everything that I was doing all day long was working out. So I was in some of the best shape of my life whenever I was actually a carpenter. And you're still right, even at this point right now, it's that ability since I'm up and down, in and out. So I still run up on ladders and run around on a roof. So I'm still crazy like that.
Yeah,
But for doing those kinds of things, I haven't noticed anything. And, I'm in my mid 50s now. So as far as that part goes, and I haven't noticed any slowdown on my end. So in any way, shape, or form. And so it carries through. So that's what it comes down to. And I mean, for all those of you who worry about steps and things like that, if that's what you're worried about, yeah, my steps have got to be somewhere between 8 and 10,000 a day is typically what they average. So especially whenever we've got a lot of jobs going on. And that's that, and you figure that's me doing those steps while also driving between jobs. So whenever I'm
exactly.
going out to check up on things. So there's a lot of activity out there and it definitely helps you feel better. So and stay. I mean, even some of the guys, I mean, we look at it. Hey, not everybody that walks out there is Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime. Whenever they're on the job site, but even all the guys who are out there, even the ones who aren't in what you would consider regular shape or really good, athletic shape like that, they're still able to get around and do everything because of the fact that they do this on a daily basis, and that activity on a daily basis makes a huge difference. So in
Huge.
your health. So,
Yeah,
all
huge
right.
impact.
So physical activity, honey. All right.
Yep.
Um, one of the things that I like, and it's funny because whenever we're out there, one of the biggest pieces that goes ahead and lifts everybody up. So is the teamwork and the camaraderie that you end up getting on the job site, like joking around with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, and especially when you work with the same guys all the time, you get to know their stories, which means you also get to know their pain points, which turns into fun at times. And you get those things that happen on the job that no one else knows. You can make that little, that little comment type of thing, and they all get it and they smile and those types of things. And there's so much with this industry, so that I mean, even for me. And I don't like, I have my internal team so that I've got the people who work for my company. So, but the majority of the people that work with me are all of my business partners. And there's things with each one of them that I feel like they're all a part of my life, and that to me is huge. So, is to get to
Yeah.
have that, and they all pitch in and want to help each other out. So, and that's one because they all know each other. My
Yeah.
guys have all been working together for, well over a decade for most of them. So they know it. They take care of the other person. They let them know if they come in like, hey, I'm doing this, but I'm going to be out of your way in a few minutes. Like they work together that way and they'll joke around too. I mean, they come in and bust on each other. That's all part of the fun and having a fun workplace. Is having that camaraderie that comes out of working as a team. So and definitely working on projects together and making things happen whenever it doesn't seem like everything's going our way. But all that stuff goes ahead and contributes to that piece.
I always feel like it's a, extended family, right? And it's
Yep.
like all my cousins and fun people I get to hang out with are just family members, right? And
Right.
you get in there and you get to know like, hey, what is your story? How many kids you have? When are you having your next
Yeah.
kid? Oh, your wife's pregnant. Oh, like
Mm-hmm.
I was on the phone the other day with one of my guys and he says, oh, my wife is pregnant. I was like, no, I didn't know. And he was like, yeah, she's having our boy in next month and everything. And this is his third kid. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember when he started, he didn't have any kids, and we've
Yep.
gone through this evolution. We've had conversations about, life and marriage and kids,
Mm-hmm.
and now he's on his third child, and those are the things that you get to kind of like be a part of each other's lives.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that piece. It's one of the best ones for me.
Definitely.
All
All
right,
right.
let's
Your
see.
turn. What you got? You have anything else?
Yeah, how about environmental impact?
Okay. What do you mean by that?
Environmental impact meaning you get to have a decision on what is done in the environment, right? Meaning if you are building something or creating something, you have the choice of like, am I going to do this in a green fashion or am I going to do this in a wasteful fashion? You also, if it's sustainable or if it's long lasting or how to make it sustainable and long lasting. Because when you're in the construction industry, my goal always is to build something as grand and that will last and stand the test of time, like
Definitely.
like the pyramids, right? I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to put my heart, my effort, my energy into something and it lasts for, 2 years and then it's gone. I want to build something that's going to last forever.
Mm-hmm.
But you get to make those choices. And not every project's going to last for thousands of years, but you get to be able to have some decisions of like, okay, can I make this the best it's going to be? Can I do this right? Can I do an environmental study and kind of understand what's going on with this construction so that I can make it as eco-friendly as possible? And so being able to have that environmental impact and be able to give back into, you're back into the community like you did, is a big thing. So
Yep. No, I love that. And it is, you really do get them to help form and actually bring to life. So a lot of the ideas that people have. So on how to go and do things more effectively, like you were talking about on the green side of things, so that's sustainable. So we actually get to bring all that stuff to fruition. So all those dreams get to become reality based on what we do, and that to me is fun to be able to go ahead and upgrade. So I agree with you entirely on that
So
side.
just to like bring it full circle, I was watching the NBA playoffs against the Timberwolves,
Mm-hmm.
and they had a big shot of the Target Stadium, and
Mm-hmm.
on top of the Target Stadium, they have it's grass. So they
Right.
have now done a green initiative to make that stadium into a green building, which
Mm-hmm.
most people they didn't even see it, they didn't even acknowledge it, they don't even know it's
Right.
there, right? But for me, I was able to see it and be like, you know what, that's pretty cool. I'm glad that they're
Mm-hmm.
bringing down the temperature inside the building. I'm glad that they're being able to use eco-friendly stuff to be able to
Yeah.
to do those things. And so for me, having an environmental impact is awesome.
No question about it. So, um, all right. Here's one of the things, and this for me is a great thing about this industry because whenever you first think about construction, a lot of times people have that impression that it's all about how young you are, how strong you are. So, how you're be able to do everything physically in the field. And for a lot of the pieces in this and a lot of the different paths inside of construction, that's definitely the case of how you get started. But one of the great things about it is there's a diversity to what ends up happening as you are in the industry longer. Nate's already talked about a little bit. You get the chance to be, if you want to be the business owner, entrepreneur, which when you start doing those things, so there's a lot more forward facing things where you're in front of homeowners doing sales, you're going and creating teams, keeping people moving along on the project management side of things. So where you're not necessarily using that as you're not using the physical skills that you had there, but you're using the knowledge that you gained and still applying it. So, and typically making things better. I mean, I know that's one of the big things that I do. It's one of the reasons why I love what I do is because I'm able to take all of those experiences and even the ones we're having now on current jobs and apply them and make future jobs even better. And that same thing, there's different opportunities out there too on those career paths. I mean, I've had people that have been in construction before and then have gone into, being the home inspector, like we talked about before, or whether it's someone who goes into being a real estate agent. So because they started doing this and they're like, hey, we've worked for some investors. That's kind of interesting. Maybe we want to go down the investing route. So, and they actually take for what they started in this industry and apply those skills there. Project manager, if you're a great project manager, you can be effective on the real estate investing side because you're able to handle a diverse number of things going on at the same time, help guide them to a finish point. So there's so many different ways to take what you go ahead and pull together. So in the construction fields and apply them in other ways. So as you grow, as you learn, and as your interests change. So over the years, so that diverse set of career paths that come out of working in construction. So whether it's staying in the industry itself or getting into other industries that are close to it.
That's a great one. It's nothing like being able to diversify a little bit.
Yep. Definitely makes a big difference. All right, Nate. So you got anything else?
I got another
Can you
big
give
one.
us one more thing to go
Yeah,
ahead and wrap it up?
I've got one more big one. And
Okay.
I think this is probably it's definitely in my top five.
Okay.
And it is global opportunities. And
Okay.
I personally like to travel and I like to see
Uh,
different places of the world.
mm-hmm.
And I can do it inside the United States, but I'm going to say global opportunities. But with having skills and trained and knowledge, you can go anywhere in the world. I could even go to Antarctica and get a job because of the skills I have. And I can be able to work and provide no matter what, because every place on the world needs somebody with skills to be able to do something.
Yep.
And so being able to travel and work and be able to live in different spots. I spent 5 years traveling around the US, chasing storms and working in disaster
Yeah.
zones. And
Right.
I had an amazing experience. I wouldn't trade it for
Mm-hmm.
anything in the world. And I got to live in different cities. I got to meet different people. I got to, experience different foods and different
Right.
cultures. And that was so impactful for me. And then I'd taken that and I've gone overseas and I've done some projects in Europe and did some over in Saudi Arabia. And some of those projects were small. I mean, they're quick and in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And but there's opportunity for me to go back. I was in Doha and it's in the
Awesome.
Middle East, and
Mm-hmm.
they were just building like crazy. And I had an
Yeah.
opportunity. I wish I had taken it, but family didn't want to move to Doha, but it was doing a high rise, and it could have been
Right.
a 4 or 5 year long project in a
Mm-hmm.
great, city in the middle of
Right.
another part of the world. So
Mm-hmm.
there are opportunities to go and go beyond your city, your state, your country, and that is a big plus.
And I love that piece. I know I think I talked to Nate about this a little bit already today. So is that my nephew right now works for a company and that's one of the things that he does. So he goes ahead and he travels for his job. He works locally, but yet a few weeks out of the month. They're a national company. So,
Mhm.
and he's one of the people that works really well on the service side, and they send him out to go ahead and help repair equipment. So,
Yeah.
and he gets the chance to go all over the United States to be able to do that. So, and it's in the construction industry is what it is. So he gets a great time. I know even same thing like what Nate was talking about. Nate did it a lot more extensively than I did, but I've had literally friends and family who lived in the Northeast. So back in 09 and 2010, whenever the economy had gone ahead and dropped down, So I had friends who lived in the Northeast that were doing stuff to their homes up there. And they actually brought me and my crews up there, housed us, fed us, so, and paid us for doing the work up there, because even by doing all of that and assuming those costs, it was still more cost effective for them than hiring the local people that were up there, just because of the cost differences. So in the areas, I don't know if that would work as much anymore, because Florida has definitely taken a jump up. So on that side of things from where it used to be, but it gave me the opportunity to go up there, and same thing. There's tremendous opportunities, whether it's in the United States, whether it's traveling overseas, like what Nate was talking about with his Doha opportunity. There's a lot of those. If that's something you love to do, you can set yourself up that way by learning the skills, getting really good at what you do. So, and then look for those international opportunities. Look for companies who do work internationally like that, if that's something that you like to do.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to see the world.
No question about it. Well, hey, Nate, I think we did really well. So,
I
I
think
mean,
so.
coming out with 15. So maybe we artificially set the bar a little bit low. We could have had known that we were going to go higher than that, but I thought it was a good starting point, at least. So to get us kicked off.
Well, I always
But
enjoy having these conversations because it just we get to open it up and
yeah,
expand and think about things a little bit. So
no question. I love that back and forth piece for sure. And I will say, I know the next thing we want to get into, and we're probably going to hold this for another episode at this point. So is the challenges from the industry. But because right now, hey, we had a good episode here. So I think we'll go ahead and drop those in another one. You guys will be able to catch into that. So in the future. So, and then of course, one of the big things we go ahead and look at is if you got value from this. So make sure to share these hacks. So with other people in the industry now, or with future builders, make sure to like this episode. Take 10 seconds to give us a review or a rating. So obviously, the more reviews we get, the higher the ratings. We can help out more current and future builders of America, and that's really what we're looking to do. That's what Nate and I's mission is with this piece. So we want to know what other topics you might want to hear more about. So if there's other things, you're going to hear about the challenges in the construction industry, but if there's other things inside of construction, you've got questions about the industry, about certain trades, so send those over to us, put them in the comments. So down below, we'd love to be able to go ahead and do that. So, and then make sure if you take this episode, if you love this episode, screenshot this. So, and post it on your social media. So to let other people know about it. So that's a great thank you to us. And Nate and I both appreciate that, to be able to
absolutely.
keep building this whole movement so that so we can go ahead and get some new people in. So to Concord University to be able to help train some people for the industry, because one of the future episodes is also going to talk about what we've got coming in this industry. There is a huge number of opportunities. And that's all I'm going to say right now. We're going to tease you a little bit with that one. So, but let's just keep on building our future, building America. So talk to you on the next podcast coming up real soon.